Forest ecosystems are used by a broad range of wildlife in BC, and fishers are one of the species that rely heavily on forests for shelter and food. Fisher numbers are declining in BC due to habitat loss, and timber harvesting is the primary cause of this loss of habitat. In this video, we want to show you how some of the impacts of harvesting on fisher habitat can be reduced by constructing large woody debris piles during logging operations. In addition to denning and resting trees that are important to fishers year-round, fishers also need shelter logs for cold weather protection in winter. When elevated logs are covered with snow, the spaces under them offer fishers a relatively warm and sheltered spot to rest in between hunting expeditions. Fishers use spaces under snow-covered logs like this when temperatures drop below -10 degrees Celsius. These spaces are also used by small mammal prey species that are important to fishers. Cutblocks can provide this kind of winter shelter for fishers and other animals if large woody debris piles are created during harvesting operations. Along with retention of some denning and resting trees, constructed large woody debris piles allow cutblocks to become usable fisher habitat much sooner than cutblocks without these features. If such measures are not taken during harvesting activity, it could take up to 200 years for winter shelter logs to develop again naturally. Unlike denning or resting trees that are products of old-growth forests, large woody debris piles can be created to simulate shelter logs. If constructed effectively, these piles can reduce the long-term impacts of habitat loss. The following example shows one way to build these piles, but there are many ways the job can be done.
My name's Joshua Flynn with Goddard Contracting. We got a block peduncle, got the fisher habitat in it, and trying to do some of the retention for the fishers. It takes a little bit extra time, not that much. Skidder comes in, brings the drag in, we'll drop it off for the decker to throw it in, and grab a grapple full of the coal pile, take it back out to the bush, kind of set it out, try and get the bigger logs, put on the bottom, to kind of cross the trees up so that there's little areas for them to get in.
In this example, the logs are slowly released from the grapple while the skidder is moving back and forth in an arc, causing the pile to be jumbled and messy with lots of spaces. If a skidder operator does this on their way for another drag, it will not take much extra time.
I figure probably anywhere from 2 to 10 minutes per drag.
The most important thing about a shelter log pile is the empty spaces under the logs that a fisher could use to escape the elements when it gets cold. Fishers are about the size of a large house cat, so spaces should be around 1 to 2 feet in height, about 1 foot across, and 3 or more feet long. In order to have spaces like this, piles should consist of larger diameter cull logs, treetops, and maybe pulp grade pieces, but they shouldn't contain much fine material like small branches or twigs with needles. Smaller material can clog the spaces over time and may increase fire risk.
Some pulp logs work great for the base layer. Throw a couple of those down, throw some cull pile on top of it, works great.
Ideally, logs would be about 1 to 2 feet in diameter and at least 23 feet in length, but smaller diameter logs can be used if they together provide the same kind of spaces as big logs. Okay, so we've talked about the spaces and log sizes, but how big should the piles be? Here's Rory with some pile size targets.
Sitting in a block here that was harvested in October of 2017, and instruction was given to the feller buncher operators who harvested the block to construct coarse wood habitat piles for fishers. I'm standing in front of one here, here. And overall, you know, the operators did a decent job. We're looking to get a pile that's 3 meters by 5 meters by 2 meters in height. This particular pile is 11 meters by 4 meters length and width. So as you can see as well, this pile is a little bit shorter than what we would like to see. The ribbon here is 2 meters in height, and this is about a half a meter shy of that.
So, where should large woody debris piles go in a cut block? Here's what Stephanie has to say about that.
Basically, we have our maps, and then from our maps in the office and based on our field information as well, we're trying to link different habitats. So it might be a riparian feature on the outside of the boundary to a riparian feature somewhere in the boundary. We might be trying to link internal WTPs with external WTPs. We might even be able to kind of link the habitat piles themselves depending on how close they are or how long they are, if they're a windrow or a pile. I think if they're away from the road, they're less likely to have any fire or wood cutters out there, which sparks from a saw could potentially light a fire. So that's typically how we're trying to place them throughout the blocks where they make sense.
Using existing stumps, root wads, and stub trees can help create spaces and hold logs in place. If large woody debris piles are constructed around stub trees, it will be easier for other machine operators to see that the piles are intentional and that they shouldn't be moved or burned.
For the area and the retention, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that hard. Pretty simple in all aspects.
Thank you for watching this video. We hope you agree that large woody debris piles for fishers can be easy to build and don't need to be very time-consuming or expensive. If you have other ideas about how to make these piles easily and efficiently, please let us know. We would be happy to hear from you. For more information, you can visit our website at bcfisherhabitat.ca or email us at fisher.conservation@gov.bc.ca. Special thanks to our funders who have made this work possible. Please share this video with others who might be interested in creating winter shelter habitat for fishers in cut blocks.